Welcome to the Marketing Team of One podcast, where we have conversations about the issues one-person marketing teams face when trying to meet their goals with limited time and budgets. Now here's your hosts, Eric and Mike. Thank you.
Hi, everybody.
Thank you. Why? Hi, everybody. How's it going?
I'm Mike.
I'm Eric. Howdy. How's the sandwiches?
Tacos.
Tacos? Oh,
I didn't know there's tacos.
okay. That's
some
even
big
better.
competition.
Hey, before I get started, I just want to say, and this will be a group project, this man's turning 50 tomorrow. Why don't we just get 1, 2, 3 on the count of 3? Just say, happy birthday, Mike. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday, Mike.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
So, we wanted to start a podcast.
We did.
What the heck? Well, why would you want to start a podcast? I think podcasts are everywhere, right? Everybody's doing a podcast. Who here is not doing a podcast?
Yeah, that was the question. Yeah, who's not? Okay.
Okay, just a handful of people.
Anybody aspire to do a podcast? All right.
Nice.
Okay, there we go. All right.
Well, it's interesting because we wanted to do a podcast I wanted to do a podcast for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
And it was really, there's a lot of different podcasts out there. So when you're thinking about doing that podcast, you're obviously going to start with something that is your genius or something in your sweet spot. So our purpose for our podcast was all about business. It's a business podcast. Obviously, it's about marketing, but there's a lot of different ways you can do podcasts. You can do entertainment. You can do true crime.
Oh, we thought about that really seriously for a little bit. Yeah.
Design crime.
Yep.
That came
Design
up.
crimes. That was a big one.
That was a big one.
Yep.
Yeah. That kind of fell flat, but there's plenty of them out there, rich subject matter. But yeah, we decided to go with marketing because it related most closely to who we worked with on a regular basis. It was something that we've been working with those people for decades, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The marketing team of one character, avatar, as it were. So maybe, Mike, you could talk a little bit about
Why would we want to do this thing?
why would we want to do a podcast?
I mean, Eric and I have been talking for a long time. And for almost anybody, there's this promoting yourself, trying to get new leads and everything. And we tried a bunch of things throughout all the book, everything in the book for a little while. But I do think back to, I think it was like 2012. Eric came to me and said, we should do a podcast. I don't know if I've ever laughed so hard in my life. Like, what would we do a podcast about? Like, why would we do a podcast? But I wasn't in that frame of mind. I was doing all client service stuff for page design at the time. And, but I think about every year, you'd bring it up. But we really decided that what we really needed to do is build more awareness for who we were. Really, the one thing that we thought when we started thinking about the podcast is that we needed to give people an idea of who we were before they ever got on a sales call. Like, we needed to let people know what our personalities were like, what it would be like working with us. And let's be frank, neither of us are great writers. We're not the best to convey our personalities through the written word. So so we tried a bunch of things. We tried blog writing. We tried all these different like best practices you hear when you talk about like promoting yourself. And we just kind of, this podcast thing started to become, seemed like a reasonable thing to try.
And I think there was this issue of trust that comes up a lot. A lot of people talk about trust, which is really hard to get, especially when you're trying to scale a company or try to reach out beyond your own network that you've built. And talking about that idea of authority there's no better way than to put yourselves out there, create content of you speaking on video or whatever. People already start to feel comfortable talking to you, calling you. They maybe watch the podcast. That was a big part of it, was we wanted to do something that was visual so that people could relate to us directly and understand that when they work with us, it's going to be this type of communication style. They speak like this. They act like this. I don't know if that's a good thing, actually, now that I think of it, but maybe people don't want to know how we act, but it does do a good job of validating who you are.
Yeah. So we toyed around with this idea for many years. And then, I don't know, well, I do know. January 2024, there's kind of a big shift and where it became a little bit more serious. But I wasn't really involved in that. So I'm going to let Eric talk about that part of the whole thing.
Yeah, I think we have ebbs and flows in our business, probably like everybody, where the beginning of the year is usually you're finishing up big projects. The fall is insane. Winter's usually pretty insane. You get to the end of January, you get into February, things start to slow down. The clients start to go to sleep a little bit. When you get to April, May, June, then they're all on vacation, doing things with their kids and all that stuff. So I said last January 2024, I'm going to get ahead of this. I'm going to start creating content. I'm going to start writing blogs. As much as I hate writing, I'm going to dive in and we're just going to build up all this content and try to reach out, define who we are, position ourselves as clearly as possible, and try to build up the business using content marketing. That lasted how many weeks, Mike?
3 or 4.
I think I showed Mike like 2 or 3 blogs that fell pretty flat. So with that, I gave up and started working with Ashley. Miss
our
Ashley,
producer over here. She's
our producer over there.
Yeah,
Everybody give her a big round of applause. She's a big part of the podcast.
Yeah.
She's shoulder to cry on, sounding board, a lot of great ideas coming out of Ashley's brain. So she's been a wonderful partner in this. And she and I started to work on this idea of the podcast. So what we did was we had built a website back in 2020, 2021, and we'd worked with a writer who helped us, Jill Felty. I don't know if you've seen the podcast. She's been on about 3 times. And she's done a really great job of helping us solidify this avatar of the marketing team of one. Most of our clients are small associations, maybe 10, 15, 20 people, and there's the one marketing person. They are doing the website. They are getting new business cards. They are doing the social media. They are making the brochure. They're doing the social videos. They're doing everything marketing in this vast, in these tiny little companies that they're the only person doing it. So a lot of our clients represent that, and we thought, this is who we should make this podcast for. So this is just one of those tips that I think kind of builds on that idea of positioning, where pick an avatar, describe exactly who that person is, try to understand them. We had a really good understanding of who these people were, so we could create content around them that resonated with them. And so that's eventually what we ended up calling it, was the Marketing Team of One podcast. And I just said, if I can't write blogs, if I can't get content out that way, we're just going to use this podcast, maybe take transcripts, maybe transform those into blogs, turn them into shorts, turn them into... The thing about writing or doing a podcast is that you're creating content that's pretty long form. There's a lot of stuff in there. And there's a lot of good gold that we end up coming up with, and it's really great stuff that you can use to build your own authority, build your own, personality online, so that you can do a good job of, securing or building trust with potentially new clients. So, because of the challenges with our business, we thought, you know what, this is something that we can't turn off, that I'm going to make a commitment to do this, whether Mike wants to be involved or not. I was just like hell-bent on doing this thing. Ashley and I worked hard on getting things figured out and done. And I just said, this is going to be a lifestyle choice. And that's really what I've told a lot of people about making a podcast, is when you're doing a podcast, understand that people make 4 or 5 episodes, and a lot of times that's it. Then they get tired or they get distracted, and then the podcast falls away and it doesn't become important.
I mean, you looked a lot during that process of finding other similar podcasts, and they all had that 3 to 5 episode count, and then they just died out.
Very few of them go beyond that 10 mark. So and so I think we also, you had an interesting book. It was the NPR Guide to Podcasting. What was that book?
It's a really good book.
So we use that as reference to talk about, it really is a very complete volume on how to do podcasting. So if anybody's interested, that's a great reference. Look it up on Amazon. But that really helped us understand that we need to commit to this, and like we said, it's all in. So why not just put everything you've got into it? And so we did. So we started to build everything around it. We were moving furniture. We were buying some equipment. Went out shopping. We went and got some plants. So we went out and bought all kinds of crazy stuff without talking to Mike. So that led to
I mean,
a dark
wait, you have
day.
an affectionate nickname for me.
Mike, we call him Meeting Man Mike because he likes to pile on 6 or 7 Zoom meetings a day, every day.
Yeah.
So it's hard to get a word in edgewise with this guy.
Yeah. So I think he got the sense that I might be a reluctant participant in all this.
Absolutely.
I knew it was. I saw things were happening, but they were through my fishbowl office, and finally we set aside Fridays as business owners to try and work on the business instead of being like in the business and working with clients and everything. And one of our Friday meetings, we meet in what used to be our conference room and now looks like the makings of some kind of studio for something. And I'm looking around, I'm like, okay, we can't do our meeting. What is this? What are we doing? And well, I was reluctant. I'll say it. I was like, well, everybody. Well, I'm not everybody, but a lot of people have podcasts. Why should we do this? And Eric pitched the most beautiful scenario of exactly why we should be doing this.
Beautiful. Okay, thank you.
It was fantastic. It's like, here's all the reasons we've stalled out on marketing ourselves before, and laid out a lot of the stuff we've talked about. Right, we're not good writers. He loves playing with. As long as I've known him, he's worked with cameras and video, and it's like, hey, let's go with the path of least resistance. Let's do this. Oh, and we could do this. We can do the videos. We can post it here and here. We can build our authority this way. And after about 30 minutes?
Yeah.
Your pitch was about 30 minutes long. Yeah. And I just went, damn, I can't poke any holes in this. Let's do it. So
it was a contentious meeting. Let's just
completely converted. Yeah.
He
made too much sense. So then we're all right. Let's get rolling. But I mean, there's a lot to do to get a podcast off the ground, right?
Yeah, there was a lot. And that was great to get that confirmation, because I did want you on the podcast, but I knew that, you were super busy. So I knew that we had to build something that was going to be, like I said before, a lifestyle choice, but also frictionless, as much as you can make it frictionless. Yeah. So that was also part of the plan when we went into this, was that we were going to build a set that was going to be permanent. We'd have all the tech set up. It was always going to be there, always available, where we could ideally flip a switch, sit down on there in our set, and just start talking. Because we did have a lot of motivation and a lot of points that we wanted to talk about right out of the box. I don't think we had any lack of ideas of things that we had dealt with when working with our clients, pain points they had, pain points we might have had with vendors, pain points with platforms and software and things like that. So
I mean, there were some of our own annoyances in there too, opinionated takes on things.
Yeah, well, that's what makes it good.
Which was fun.
Yeah,
those were some of the most fun, just like getting stuff off your chest and hopefully inspiring others too.
And thank God it wasn't live like this podcast, so we could go back and edit as much as we wanted
edit
to.
Ruthlessly. Yeah. I think the first few we probably recorded for close to 3 hours, probably.
Yeah,
and long meandering conversations, a lot of rabbit holes.
I think we came up with maybe 20 concepts or topics that we wanted to talk about right away. But that was great because there was no friction in it. There was no struggle as far as, Jennifer talked about going into what you really, really love. I love technology, and I have wanted to do this for so long. So Ashley and I really worked hard on putting together the set, building a brand, building out kind of the vision and the map for where we wanted to go with things. And we wanted to just breathe as much life into this. But we knew that there was going to be a digital side to this as well. So we came up with a calendar, we came up with topics, we came up with the brand, and the set had everything in there. And we just said, okay, Friday mornings, we're going to record podcasts. That's what we did then, and we stuck to that. We still do that to this day. So
Lifestyle choice.
Back to the lifestyle choice. It was never an option to quit or stop. So like it or not, we're going to be keeping this podcast going forever. But then Mike took charge, and he saw where there were some gaps, and he had a lot of great ideas around the digital side of things, building more of a big platform around it. So
more the distribution side of things, right?
Yeah.
We decided that, yes, primarily we're going to do this on YouTube, and we want to make sure that we have the videos rolling and stuff like that. But, podcasts, a lot of people are in their car, like let's make sure that we have that through the audio networks. And we'd done things with a lot of clients before. We'd actually helped a couple clients launch their own podcasts. So we had a little bit of a playbook on what we would do to help promote that outside of YouTube or Spotify or Apple. And so we went forth, built a website, built an email, hooked in email marketing campaigns so we can let everyone know, hey, new podcast is out, come through. Built in some freebies on the site. The idea more is kind of like lead generator things, something that could be helpful for people. And so we started piecing all these things together. The site you see here is pretty much the result of that we wanted to have a home we could point everybody to get anything related to the podcast. And so
also really build some analytics around it so that we could kind of understand how things were performing. You get certain vanity metrics off of YouTube, but we knew that we were also doing audio only, and harder to get some of those metrics off of that platform.
Yeah. So, so we've got our brand, we've got our content strategy, we've got basically everything that we would need to do a podcast, but then I guess we needed to start recording, right? That was the big thing, right?
That was a painful few moments there when we turned the cameras on and just stared blankly into a camera like, okay, what are we going to talk about? You kind of go dead inside for a little bit there. But we managed to do some practice runs that went way off the rails. Pretty funny conversations that nobody will ever see. But they were really important for us to kind of start to build rapport. So if you're doing a podcast with a teammate or a two-person podcast or a co-host on the podcast, that's another thing I'd recommend is like doing a bunch of practice runs so that our relationship on the podcast is slightly different than in real life.
Only slightly, though.
Not that different, I guess. Maybe it's just starting to come.
But if you're trying to hammer this out with another person and everything like that, boxing gloves, the headgear,
Helmets.
That might come in handy a little bit because there's just like, here's how I want to do it. Oh, here's how I want to do it. How do you find that alignment and stuff like that? So we didn't come to blows, but I don't know if we had that stuff, maybe we would have. I don't know.
That's why we don't have that stuff at the studio because it would probably. Mike and I are great teammates in the business. We're awesome partners together. But our strength comes from our wide differences of approach and opinion on things. And that did lead to, I would say at the beginning, it made it a little bit contentious at times.
Yes.
I had wonderful ideas, of course, like all of my ideas. And Mike was I don't know how a hole poker. Contrarian. There's a diplomatic way of saying it. So there was some arguments that we had. People had to go on walks, but it was really helpful because I think the strength in what Mike did was help bring focus to some of my craziness, and my craziness made all of his boring ideas important and exciting.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
And that's why we're a good partner. Okay.
Exactly.
So the first thing that we really, to stick to this idea of committing to getting a podcast out there and having it live, breathe on its own for perpetuity is, I said we have to have at least 8 or 10 of these things in the can.
Yeah.
Ready to go. We picked out a schedule. We're going to launch every 2 weeks. We're going to put out a podcast, which seemed to be a pretty frequent, pretty decent schedule, I think.
Without driving us crazy. Like if we did any more, we probably would have.
Yeah, we had talked about doing it every week, but the labor it took to get just one out every 2 weeks is a lot. And so we did that. We had 8 of them in, and at first, Ashley was working the cameras and all the audio, which she still does to this day. She is an amazing help keeping us on point, listening to what we're talking about, having a circle back. She's done a great job of helping kind of corral the actual content on the podcast over and over again. So she was critical in doing that, and that was fun to see her kind of really step into that role. And then I was doing the editing, which if you've ever edited video and you got to whittle down a 2-hour conversation, that's not a lot of fun. It's pretty soul-sucking and very difficult for me anyway. I guess I like to film, but I don't like to edit. And so, but I did edit the first like 20 episodes, which I thought was important because it was critical to kind of build the look and feel for the podcast. And establish the style. I have, we're designers, so we have very critical eye on things, where cameras are, where we are, where our heads are at, things like that. So I wanted to engineer that so that we had a full body of work that everybody could take a look at. And then if we did want to get another editor involved, we could hand it over to them and they would have this body of work that they could refer to work on. So that's what we did. And that's how we started it. We went in every Friday. I think we started March of 2024. We started to record things. Yep. We had to put together like a little YouTube intro so that when people go onto the YouTube channel, they can see a little video of us talking. So we had to produce that first. And then we released our first episode on June 13th, 2024 was when the first one went out.
Yep.
So we did that, and then we had those 8, I think, in the can.
The 8 in the can, and then we kept committing to almost for a while there, we were recording every week, but only releasing every 2 weeks. So we had a good backlog. We had it actually helped release some of the pressure of like needing to be there every Friday eventually, like especially as the year went on and our client schedules got busier and everything. We felt like we could, we've got all this in the can. I think we sat down around July and realized when we mapped it out, we had everything for the rest of the year.
Yeah,
at that point,
pretty good. Yeah.
So that was good that we kind of doubled down on the committing to that lifestyle change and doing it every Friday. And so we released all those, and then I don't know, by December we had how many followers on YouTube?
I mean, it was like more than 5, maybe 6. I don't know. It was a lot.
It was 8.
8. Yeah.
So we decided that. So we had a meeting late December, and we're like, all right, we've been doing this for 8 months. All right, are we committing to this lifestyle change? Are we going to keep doing this? What do we want out of this? And we all agreed this is something we really needed to do. But we saw from what we were doing, we could see that some episodes did better than others. We were looking at our I think we mostly look at YouTube now.
That's the metric
almost everything's YouTube focused at this point. We still do the audio, but we look mostly at YouTube. We looked at, what worked? Where are the ones where we're having more fun? And we came away with a few like changes we wanted to make going into the next, as we start recording new ones and everything. One thing that we really realized is that we get tired of each other's voices and everything, and we loved having guests on, and so bringing in guests was a key strategy that we wanted to do. We wanted to make sure that our voices weren't too repetitive, and that we were bringing in more perspectives from other people who, especially the marketing teams of one who were kind of in this, and they can talk from their own personal experience. So that was a big kind of content change that we made. Another one is, though we try and get it shorter. We noticed that some of them, what's our longest one? It's close to 2 hours, right?
It's, an hour and a half. 1:31, I think.
Yeah.
Too long.
Nobody watched that one. So shorter, like ruthlessly edit. So we're really trying to get those down, ideally between that like 30 and 40 minutes. We want to make sure that we're being a little more ruthless about that. the other thing that we did is we realized that in looking at our existing videos, we YouTube being like the second biggest search engine in the world, right? Like we should be like applying some of these like SEO techniques to our videos. And so we went back, and a lot of these, and a lot of our episodes, we used to title them episode 4. I can't even remember
it
what
really
what
only
did.
works in the Star Wars realm, right?
Yes,
Episode
yes.
4, A New Hope.
So we started changing all of our titles to more problem aware titles to make sure that if people are searching for things on YouTube, that we're there in that pool. And that was a huge change, because we didn't just we started. You can see in our analytics, it went directly from most people that were actually viewing, when we had those 8 followers, we could see that most people that were viewing our YouTube videos was through this site. It was like through embeds and everything. We weren't getting any pickup from YouTube. But what we realized after we started making that change is that we were being found in the suggested videos a lot more. We were showing up in search results a lot more. So that was a big strategic shift that we made, and it was more of a technical thing. It wasn't content related, but it made a big difference.
It was the title optimizations that we went through. It was also the thumbnails, because that's something, as you watch YouTube and you can see the suggested feed, you've got like 1.25 inches by 1/2 inch tall, something like that. And so we really tried to optimize the thumbnail game a little bit too, so that we made them a little bit more consistent, got the wording on those a lot more punchy,
and we used a lot more red. It stands out.
I try to go to VidCon every year, which is the big YouTube conference down in Anaheim, and talk to a lot of people about podcasts down there, and realize that business podcasts are really popular and they're really hard to compete with. So there's games you can play, and a lot of them you got to start paying money to get things moving. But honestly, the ROI on doing that is a challenge. And there's other strategies that were outlined to me that kind of talk about the guest thing. That's a big play. If you're trying to move the needle on your podcast, have intriguing guests that have a big audience, because they're going to drag their audience over to your audience. And that was something that we saw a lot of success in that, actually. If you've seen a couple of weeks ago, we had Doug Aguiar, who was the CMO for the Golden One Center, Golden One Credit Union. He did basically the campaign launch for Golden One. We dragged his audience over into our audience, and I think that video's performed better than just about any of our other videos. So that's a pretty good tip too, is, bringing in other guests, especially in the business side of world, because it's good to have that variety of perspective and see how other people want to see how other people do their jobs, especially if it's very pointed at marketing or it's very pointed at, some specific task. Obviously, when you guys are scrolling Instagram or YouTube, you're always looking or clicking on those things as, top 5 tips, Illustrator, top 5 video tips, those kind of things. It's like how to, and bringing in those guests is a really good way to, bring a new lifeline into your podcast. All right. So we did all that. We launched in January of this year, and we did see some gains.
This unfortunately isn't a you build it, they will come type situation,
No.
I think originally when the first batch, the pre-December 2024, we'd probably get 20, 25 views per video or something like that. Not a huge one. I'm sure it's all our parents and family members and stuff.
Audience.
But no, now we're averaging 150 or more per video. It's still baby steps. Really, it's not.
It's a slow burn. Yeah.
Yeah, but what we look at it today. As we're shifting, that doesn't seem like a lot. But so why would we keep doing this? Why, and I think we've really set forth, we love this lifestyle choice we've made. I think a lot of the stuff, the conversations we have, either in the preparation for a talk or actually doing the talks, has like unlocked so many, like it's opened so many doors for us mentally and mindset shifts and everything that go directly into the business. So either they go into our work at Page Design, or they go into brainstorming for future shows, and it becomes this little bit of a flywheel that we can keep rolling with. So the topic generation, the topic brainstorming is not nearly as cumbersome as it. There was a dip there where once we got through all our annoyances and stuff that was top of mind, there's a little bit of a dip. We're like, all right, what are we going to talk about today? And we kind of, but now we've got the flywheel going, so it's a lot easier for us to come up with topics and mine other things that came up.
Yeah, and that's something to think about when you're at the end of the content road and you don't have anything more to talk about. Go back and look at your old content, because I think what we've done is we've gone back and mined previous conversations and found a little niche in what we talked about, and like, oh wait, we can go down that road. And that opens up a whole universe of other conversation. And so there's never a loss for stuff for us to start to talk about, because we go back and look at some of that previous content.
We have a really easy keyword to look for. Like if we transcribe all of our videos and everything. And one thing that we can look at is, we could probably do a whole podcast about that.
Yeah.
That we just look back in the transcripts. Oh, hey, we said that.
There you go.
Here we go.
There's the thing. So
yeah.
Business case for a podcast. I think we're starting to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
Like Mike said, it's a slow burn. It's not something, again, business podcasts are very saturated. It's hard to break out of that. I think the ones that have broken out of that maybe do a lot more frequent uploads, maybe daily. I'm thinking of like the Lemonade Stand is a good marketing / business podcast that has hundreds of thousands of subscribers to it, but they're doing a show like all the time. That's their only job. So trying to make a case for that is a very difficult thing, and understand that it is going to be a slow burn, and try different things. Like we're always trying to optimize, just shift things ever so slightly, still try to stay on brand, but strategically try to move into slightly different angles or topics, or make refinements to the actual production itself. So moving forward, I think we're going to keep working on getting more and more guests on the show, reach out to bigger and bigger, more and more, relevant people to talk to about what we're doing.
Yeah.
Always try to keep it shorter and shorter and shorter. But I think those are the main things that we're continuing to work.
I think the one thing that really opened my eyes to it is that I don't think podcasting alone is a great business development strategy. Unless you can commit, like you're talking about, to being a content creator. I don't think either of us consider ourselves content creators. This is a thing that we do to help, supplement what we're doing. But what we see this as it's so vital to as a ground floor, a foundational thing to other stuff that we do. And so that's why we're committed to keep doing it. Yeah.
No, I don't want to point fingers, but
all
right, let's do this. I think that's it. We have nothing else to give.
Thanks for your patience.
Our
and
love
everything.
to you. Thank you so much, everybody. We appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in. For more information and other episodes, subscribe to the Marketing Team of One podcast on YouTube, Apple, or Spotify podcast networks. You can also chat with us on the r/Marketing Team of One subreddit, or visit marketingteamofone.com to learn more.